Counsel for Kelly Smith and Steveno van Rhyn are expected to deliver their closing arguments in the trial tomorrow. This after the state and Jacquen Appollis' lawyer wrapped up theirs in the Western Cape High Court sitting in Saldanha Bay. The trio are on trial for kidnapping and trafficking Joshlin Smith. The state has described this as the first case of its kind in South Africa. Our reporter Vanessa Poonah and video journalist Lukhanyo Mazantsana have more for us.
The state has described the Joshlin Smith kidnapping and human trafficking case as the first of its kind in South Africa. This because usually in such incidences the victim is the main source of information or in terms of what had happened. But in this case the child went missing at the age of 6 years old from her middle post home in Saldanha Bay here on the west coast last year is indeed still missing. The state as well as defence for Jacquen Appollis, the first accused in this matter, wrapped up their closing arguments here in the White City Multipurpose Hall in Saldanha Bay a short while ago. The state contends that the court must indeed find that all three accused, the child's mother Kelly Smith, as well as Jacquen Appollis and Steveno van Rhyn, were indeed guilty of, or are indeed guilty of, kidnapping as well as human trafficking. I just want to read an excerpt from their heads of argument. The state says that the accused three, that's of course Kelly Smith, had planned for the child's sale as early as August 2023. Of course, you would remember that previously in this trial we heard from state witness Nico Stevens that he had met with her in an early morning in August 2023 when Kelly Smith told him that she would be sending her children away, and that also if the people did not have 20,000 rand, she would accept 5,000 rand. In that conversation, which he told the court, testified to in court, she also said, according to Mr. Kutsia, that in the next few months, January or February, the Middle Post, Dyersville, Saldanha area will look like a movie scene. And of course, we know that once the child disappeared from her home in the Middle Post informal settlement, that indeed was the case. The state also said, Advocate Zalda Swanepoel said that the strongest corroboration for Section 204 witness Laurentia Lombard's testimony is indeed that of Mr. Kutsia. You would know that Laurentia Lombard was a former accused in this matter, but she turned state witness and she ended up being the star witness in this case. The state also says that even though there have been some discrepancies or differences or criticisms with her testimony, all of it should not be discarded just because some of the testimony was indeed problematic. Of course, what we've seen a short while ago is that Advocate Fani Haramsa for Jacquen Appollis has not taken too much time in his closing arguments, and his high water mark, as he calls it, in Jacquen Appollis' case is the fact that there were two versions before the court. He says that this, of course, relates to the Section 204 witness, Laurentia Lombard's version, and then also the version of his client, Jacquen Appollis, and that, of course, stems from well, not really a confession, but at this stage it's called a statement, and that was a statement taken by police between the 4th and the 5th of March last year. Of course, that also was one of the reasons for the trial within a trial, which we saw taking place for a few weeks here within the main trial, of course, to test the admissibility of those statements, his as well as Steveno van Rhyn's. And of course, according to Mr. Haramsa, he now says that both versions, the version put forward by Laurentia Lombard, for example, where Joshlin Smith was taken to, Laurentia Lombard said that she saw Kelly Smith taking the child to a white Polo vehicle, and then of course saying that that was the last time she saw the child. That's one example that he made, for example, in terms of the differences that he highlighted between the statement by Mr. Appollis as well as the testimony of Laurentia Lombard. What we can expect tomorrow is, of course, Advocate Kabai for Steveno van Rhyn, as well as Advocate Sivnarine for Kelly Smith, will then be concluding their closing arguments. We know that Judge Nathan Erasmus has said that he would deliver judgment in this case by Friday. So, of course, court will resume tomorrow morning with those two advocates putting forth their closing arguments in this kidnapping and human trafficking trial of young Joshlin Smith here in Saldanha Bay on the Cape West Coast.